When a defiant young fast food worker refuses service to a customer wearing a MAGA hat, their self-righteous stand against right-wing values backfires spectacularly. They never expected their target would be the one signing their paychecks, igniting a powder keg of consequences about tolerance and respect in the workplace. A young fast food worker's decision to deny service to a customer wearing a MAGA hat was about to become the biggest mistake of their career. James Richardson dabbed his forehead with a napkin as he sat in his parked Mercedes, studying the lunch rush at his newest acquisition, a struggling burger franchise in downtown Portland. At 52, he'd built his restaurant empire through hands-on management and treating everyone, employees and customers alike, with respect, regardless of their politics. Today would be his first undercover visit to assess operations at the troubled location. He adjusted the red MAGA hat on his head, catching his reflection in the rearview mirror. Though he typically kept his conservative views private at work, the hat was part of his disguise today. No one would expect a successful business owner to walk in wearing one in this progressive neighborhood. Through the window, he observed the young counterworker, Alex Martinez, chatting with co-workers. Richardson had reviewed the employee files earlier. Alex was a recent hire with good technical skills, but had already received warnings about making political comments to customers. The shift manager had documented multiple complaints. The lunch crowd was starting to thin out as Richardson stepped from his car. Perfect timing. Enough customers to observe normal operations, but not so busy that his presence would disturb the flow. Security cameras tracked his movement across the parking lot, their red lights blinking steadily. Several customers had phones out, probably posting their meals on social media. As Richardson pulled open the glass door, the smell of French fries and grilled onions washed over him. Alex's animated conversation with a co-worker stopped abruptly as Richardson approached the counter. The young worker's eyes locked onto the red hat, narrowing with obvious disgust. "Welcome to Burger Basket. How can I—" Alex's rehearsed greeting died mid-sentence. A muscle twitched in their jaw as Richardson stepped up to order. "I don't serve fascists," Alex announced loudly, crossing their arms. "We have standards here." The casual chatter of other customers fell silent. Several phones turned to record the confrontation. Richardson kept his expression neutral, though his heart began to race. This was exactly the kind of behavior that had been driving customers away. "I'd just like to order lunch," Richardson said calmly. "Could you please get your manager?" Alex's face contorted with rage at Richardson's calm request for a manager. "Oh, so you want to speak to management? Classic entitled Republican move," they sneered, voice rising to ensure everyone could hear. "Let me guess, you want to complain about the minority employee standing up to your hate symbol?" The line of customers behind Richardson shifted uncomfortably. Several more phones emerged, their camera lenses glinting as they captured the escalating scene. Behind the counter, two other employees exchanged worried glances, one subtly pressing the button for the shift supervisor. "I simply want to place an order," Richardson replied evenly, maintaining his composure. "Your personal politics shouldn't affect customer service." "Personal politics?" Alex scoffed, dramatically gesturing at Richardson's hat. "You're wearing a symbol of fascism and hate. You probably support putting children in cages and taking away women's rights." Their voice cracked with emotion as they pointed accusingly at Richardson. "We don't serve people who promote hate in this establishment," the growing crowd of onlookers murmured as Alex continued their tirade. An elderly woman near the drink station shook her head disapprovingly. A teenage customer whispered, "This is going on TikTok for sure," as she steadied her phone. Richardson squared his shoulders, speaking clearly but calmly. "I'd appreciate if you'd stop making assumptions about my character based on my hat. Could you please explain the specific company policy that allows you to refuse service based on political beliefs?" This measured response seemed to further infuriate Alex, who slapped their hands on the counter. "I don't need a policy to stand up against fascism. If you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police and reporting you for harassment." Behind Alex, their co-worker Marcus nervously approached. "Alex, maybe we should—" "No!" Alex cut him off sharply. "I'm not backing down. He probably voted for taking away your rights too, Marcus." They turned back to Richardson, jabbing a finger toward the door. "Either remove that hat or get out. We don't serve your kind here." The security cameras hummed quietly overhead, their red recording lights steady as they captured every moment of Alex's meltdown. Through the kitchen window, the shift supervisor could be seen hurrying toward the front, phone in hand. Several customers had formed a loose circle around the scene, their phones documenting every word of the exchange. Richardson remained still, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to Alex's increasing agitation. "I believe you're the one causing a disturbance," he stated firmly. "I'm a paying customer requesting service, nothing more. Your assumptions about my character and your threats are completely inappropriate for a professional workplace." Sarah, the shift manager, burst through the swinging doors and strode quickly to the counter, her face a mask of professional concern. "What seems to be the problem here?" she asked, glancing between Alex and Richardson. Before Richardson could respond, Alex whirled around to face their manager. "This customer is wearing a MAGA hat, a symbol of hate speech. I'm exercising my right to refuse service to people who promote discrimination." Their voice trembled with righteous conviction. Sarah's expression tightened as she addressed Alex. "That's not our company policy. We serve all customers regardless of their political beliefs." She turned apologetically to Richardson. "I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, sir. I'd be happy to take your order." "No!" Alex slammed their hand on the counter again, causing several customers to jump. "You can't make me serve fascists. I won't do it." Through the drive-through window, a line of cars stretched around the building, horns beginning to honk impatiently. Marcus, still hovering nearby, stepped forward. "Alex, we're getting really backed up. Maybe we should just—" "So you're taking his side?" Alex rounded on their co-worker. "Don't you care about standing up for what's right?" Their voice cracked with emotion. "Sarah, as my manager, you should be supporting your employees when we take a stand against hate." The restaurant had ground to a complete halt. Behind Richardson, some customers had abandoned their spots in line, while others pressed closer, phones recording steadily. A young woman in a progressive political t-shirt called out, "Stay strong! Don't let them silence you." Richardson calmly pulled out his phone. "Could I have the corporate office number, please? I'd like to discuss your customer service policies." "Oh, now you're going to try to get me fired?" Alex sneered, their face flushed. "That's typical privileged behavior, using your power to oppress marginalized voices. You probably own some big company and think you can push everyone around." Sarah stepped between them, her professional demeanor cracking under the strain. "Alex, please step away from the register. This is your final warning. No. I won't be complicit in serving people who support systemic oppression," Alex declared, gaining confidence from the few supportive voices in the crowd. "This is bigger than just a fast food order. It's about taking a stand." Richardson remained perfectly still, his calm demeanor unchanged. "I understand you have strong political convictions, but a workplace isn't the appropriate venue for this kind of protest. I'm simply requesting the service this establishment offers to the public." The security cameras continued their silent vigil as Sarah pulled out her phone, likely calling the district manager. More customers filmed the scene, the tension in the restaurant thick enough to cut with a knife. Through the windows, passing pedestrians began to stop and stare, creating an impromptu audience for the ideological standoff playing out inside. Alex turned to address the growing crowd of customers, their voice rising with theatrical outrage. "Everyone, listen up! This establishment is refusing to protect its workers from right-wing extremism. They're forcing me to serve someone wearing a symbol of hate." The bottleneck at the counter grew worse as more customers pulled out their phones to record. Some moved closer to catch every word, while others shuffled uncomfortably toward the exit. Behind the counter, Marcus struggled to manage the drive-thru alone, shooting worried glances at the mounting chaos. "I will not back down," Alex declared, gaining confidence from the handful of supportive murmurs. "This is about taking a stand against fascism in our community. Who's with me?" Sarah stepped forward again, her voice tight with strain. "Alex, you need to take your break. Now. This isn't a debate stage. We have customers waiting." "No!" Alex's defiance drew more attention from passers-by outside, who pressed their faces against the windows. "I'm not going anywhere until this establishment acknowledges its role in enabling hate speech." Richardson calmly pulled out a small notebook from his jacket pocket and began writing, his movements deliberate and measured. The action seemed to further infuriate Alex, who whipped out their phone and started recording. "Look, everyone! Watch how the privileged react when they don't get their way. I bet you're going to try to get me fired, aren't you?" Alex zoomed in on Richardson's face. "I'm documenting everything for social media. Let's see how your reputation handles that." Two more workers emerged from the back, trying to open a second register to handle the backing crowd. Alex turned to them, gesturing dramatically. "Don't help them normalize this. We should all refuse service. Who's going to stand with me?" The other employees avoided eye contact, quietly trying to restore order to the chaos. The drive-thru speaker crackled with more impatient customers, and the kitchen timer began beeping insistently. Sarah spoke into her phone, her voice barely controlled. "Yes, sir. The situation is escalating. I've asked them repeatedly to step away from the register." She glanced at Richardson, who continued making notes while occasionally scanning the room, seeming to take in every witness and recording device. "You can call corporate all you want," Alex declared, their voice cracking with emotion. "I'll tell them exactly how this place enables hate speech. I'll show them all the recordings. This is going viral. Everyone will see what kind of establishment this is." The restaurant had descended into complete dysfunction. Drive-thru customers began pulling away, horns honking in frustration. Inside, the handful of vocal supporters had created a small crowd near the counter, phones raised high, while other customers huddled near the walls or fled altogether. Richardson remained unmoved, his calm presence a stark contrast to the chaos surrounding him. He checked his watch deliberately, then made another note in his book. "I'd like to speak with the district manager, please," he said quietly to Sarah. "I believe this situation requires immediate attention." A sharp voice cut through the chaos. "Sir, I'm calling the police right now," declared an older woman in a business suit, her phone already to her ear. "This is clear discrimination, and I've recorded the whole thing." Alex spun toward her, face flushed. "Oh, another privileged defender of fascism? Go ahead. Call them. I'll tell them exactly how this establishment promotes hate by serving people like him." They jabbed a finger toward Richardson's MAGA hat. More customers joined the fray, forming a loose circle around the counter. A middle-aged teacher spoke up, her voice steady. "Young person, you can't refuse service based on political beliefs. That's against company policy and possibly illegal." "Policy?" Alex scoffed, their voice cracking. "Policies protect the oppressors. I'm taking a stand." They turned to their co-workers, arms spread wide. "Come on, guys. Don't you see what's happening here?" Marcus kept his head down, efficiently working the drive-thru while others scrambled to open more registers. The kitchen timer's persistent beeping mixed with the growing chorus of car horns outside, creating a symphony of disruption. Sarah pressed her phone closer to her ear, pacing behind the counter. "Yes, sir. Multiple customers are recording. No, they won't leave the register." "Yes, I understand the severity." She glanced nervously at Richardson, who continued making careful notes, his calm presence a stark contrast to the surrounding storm. A college student near the door raised his phone higher. "This is going straight to corporate. You can't just decide who deserves service based on their hat." "Watch me," Alex retorted, growing more agitated as support failed to materialize. "I'm doing this for all of us. This is about standing up to right-wing oppression. Two teenage girls who had been filming exchanged looks. "This is so messed up," one whispered loudly. "My dad wears that hat, and he's like the nicest person ever." Richardson finally tucked his notebook away and pulled out his phone. His movements were unhurried, deliberate. The growing crowd parted slightly as he stepped back from the counter, maintaining his composed demeanor while dialing a number. "Oh, calling your right-wing friends?" Alex taunted, their voice rising to a near shriek. "Going to get your Facebook group to harass me?" "I'm not afraid of you!" Sarah intercepted a new customer trying to approach the counter, apologetically directing them to the second register. The line had become a tangled mess of observers and actual customers, with more people filming than ordering. Through the windows, a small crowd had gathered, pressing faces against the glass to watch the scene unfold. Alex's defiance seemed to grow with each passing minute, even as their isolation became more apparent. They grabbed a stack of cups, knocking several to the floor. "I'm not serving anyone until he leaves. This is a peaceful protest against fascism." Richardson's quiet voice carried across the chaos as he spoke into his phone. "Yes, I'm here now. You might want to come see this yourself." He ended the call and leaned against the wall, his patience seemingly infinite as the situation spiraled further out of control. The atmosphere in the restaurant had devolved into complete chaos. The drive-through speaker crackled with impatient customers, while Sarah frantically tried to direct traffic between the registers. Two workers abandoned their stations entirely, retreating to the break room to avoid the growing tension. "Everyone, please," Sarah called out, her voice strained. "If you're not being served, I ask that you step aside so we can help other customers." She gestured to the growing line that now stretched to the door. Alex paced behind the counter, still refusing to budge. "I don't care about the line. This is bigger than fast food. This is about standing up to hatred." They knocked over a stack of paper bags, sending them scattering across the floor. A young trainee scrambled to pick them up, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. "Hey, Alex," Marcus called from the drive-through window. "My orders are backing up. I need help with the fries." He cast an apologetic glance at Richardson, who continued to observe the scene with measured patience. "Then let them wait," Alex snapped, turning on their co-worker. "How can you just stand there making fries when we have a fascist in our restaurant? You're part of the problem." Marcus shrank back, returning to his station as more horns blared outside. The drive-through line had begun to dissolve as customers pulled away, unwilling to wait any longer. A group of regular customers who normally came in for their afternoon coffee stood near the door, shaking their heads. One of them, an elderly man with a cane, spoke up. "Been coming here for 15 years. Never seen such disrespect." Sarah's phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen, her face paling slightly. "The district manager is 10 minutes away," she announced to no one in particular. "Good," Alex declared, growing more defiant. "I'll tell them exactly what kind of customers we're catering to." They turned to the remaining workers. "Come on, everyone. We should all refuse to serve him. Show some backbone." The other employees exchanged uncomfortable glances. A young woman at the second register quietly continued serving customers, trying to maintain some semblance of normal operation. The kitchen timer kept beeping insistently, signaling food going cold and orders piling up. Richardson's phone buzzed. He checked it briefly, nodding to himself before returning it to his pocket. The small smile playing at the corners of his mouth went unnoticed by Alex, who had begun a loud monologue about corporate America and systemic oppression. "Sir," Sarah approached Richardson, wringing her hands. "I am so sorry about this. I've documented everything, and I want you to know this isn't what we stand for." "I appreciate that," Richardson replied quietly, "though I suspect this situation will resolve itself very soon." He glanced at his watch just as the front door chimed again, bringing with it a new wave of tension to the already charged atmosphere. Richardson pulled out his phone discreetly, opening the restaurant's security app, while maintaining his composed stance near the counter. Through the owner portal, he could see multiple camera angles capturing Alex's continued outburst. The drive-through camera showed 3 more cars pulling away, while the dining room feed displayed uncomfortable customers shifting in their seats. He began typing quick notes in his phone. 2:15 p.m. Direct refusal of service. 2:17 p.m. Hostile comments about political beliefs. 2:20 p.m. Disruption of business operations. The documentation felt almost unnecessary with the abundance of cell phones recording the scene, but Richardson knew the importance of thorough records. Sarah approached another customer, her voice wavering. "I'm so sorry for the wait, sir. We're experiencing some technical difficulties." The customer, a regular named Bill who came in every Thursday, just shook his head. "Technical difficulties?" Bill gestured toward Alex. "You've got an employee having a political meltdown. Been coming here 10 years and never seen anything like it." Richardson noticed 2 teenage workers whispering by the shake machine, occasionally glancing his way with sympathetic looks. He made note of their names from their badges, Jenny and Marcus. Both had maintained professional composure despite their colleagues' behavior. The security footage continued recording as Alex knocked over another stack of cups. "This isn't just about one customer," they shouted. "It's about taking a stand against everything that MAGA hat represents." Richardson pulled up the employee handbook on his phone, quickly finding the section on customer service and non-discrimination policies. He highlighted several relevant passages, noting the timestamp on each screenshot. The drive-through system log showed a clear gap in service times coinciding with Alex's refusal to work. A middle-aged woman approached Richardson, speaking softly. "I got most of it on video, if you need it for corporate." "That kind of behavior isn't right, no matter what someone's wearing." She handed him a business card with her contact information. Sarah was now on her phone, frantically texting while trying to manage the remaining customers. The POS system showed several voided transactions, people who had left without their orders during the disruption. Richardson noted each loss, calculating the growing impact on the day's revenue. 2 more customers approached him, offering their contact information as witnesses. "This isn't about politics," one said. "It's about basic customer service and human decency." Richardson thanked them, adding their information to his growing documentation. Through it all, Alex continued their tirade, seemingly emboldened by their own rhetoric, despite the clearly uncomfortable atmosphere they'd created. They didn't notice Richardson's methodical documentation, nor the way other employees had begun to distance themselves, creating a visible gap between Alex and the rest of the staff. The security cameras continued their silent recording as Richardson received another notification on his phone. The district manager wasn't the only one en route. The owner's notification had just popped up as well, though Alex remained blissfully unaware of this detail as they continued their self-righteous stand. The growing crowd of onlookers had created an unmistakable tension in the restaurant's atmosphere. Richardson noticed a young woman in a business suit typing rapidly on her phone, the local news station's website clearly visible on her screen. His own phone buzzed with notifications from the restaurant's social media accounts. People were already sharing videos of Alex's meltdown. "I've got every right to refuse service to fascists," Alex declared, knocking over a napkin dispenser while gesturing wildly. "Anyone who supports those politics doesn't deserve to eat here." Sarah, the shift manager, approached Alex again, her voice trembling but firm. "Alex, please, you're making everyone uncomfortable. We have a job to do." "No, I won't be silenced," Alex cut her off, turning to the other employees. "Come on, guys. Don't you see what's happening here? We should all refuse to serve anyone wearing that hat." Jenny and Marcus exchanged worried glances before turning back to their stations. The drive-through speaker crackled with another customer's order, but Alex had abandoned their post completely. Richardson documented the time. 2:35 p.m. Complete abandonment of assigned duties. The line of cars now stretched around the building. Richardson could see frustrated drivers pulling away, some already posting angry reviews on their phones. He quickly screenshotted the growing pile of negative feedback, noting the direct correlation to Alex's behavior. "I've called the district manager 3 times," Sarah whispered to Richardson, her hands shaking. "They're on their way, but the traffic is bad." "I'm so sorry about this, sir." Richardson nodded, maintaining his calm demeanor while adding another note. 2:40 p.m. Multiple management intervention attempts failed. He opened the employee conduct guidelines, photographing sections about political neutrality in the workplace and customer service standards. A teenager in a company uniform from the back quietly approached Richardson. "Sir, I recorded some of what happened when Alex first started yelling. They've been posting on social media all week about taking a stand against Republican customers." She showed him her phone, revealing several inflammatory posts from Alex's public account. The security cameras continued their silent witness as Alex's behavior grew more erratic. They'd started using their phone to film customers, declaring they were documenting the faces of fascism. Several patrons covered their faces, clearly uncomfortable with being recorded without consent. Richardson documented each violation methodically: harassment of customers, unauthorized filming, disruption of business operations, violation of social media policies. The evidence mounted as Alex seemed determined to dig themselves deeper, unaware that their self-righteous crusade was being carefully catalogued by the very person they sought to exclude. Richardson moved with practiced efficiency through the restaurant's back office, his eyes fixed on the security monitors while Sarah pulled up the footage. The timestamps aligned perfectly with his documented notes. 2:15 p.m. showed Alex's initial refusal of service, their dramatic gesture of turning their back on Richardson clearly visible from multiple angles. "Here's the drive-through camera from the last hour," Sarah said quietly, pulling up another feed. The backup of cars stretched beyond the camera's view, and Richardson noted several instances where Alex had abandoned their station, leaving other employees scrambling to cover the gaps. A notification popped up on the office computer. Another 1-star review. Political discrimination. Terrible service. Entire drive-through at standstill. Avoid this location. Richardson added it to his growing digital folder of evidence. "Sir, I have something else you should see," Sarah said, pulling up the employee scheduling software. "Alex has been marking other customers for special handling in our system. See these notes?" She pointed to several entries where Alex had flagged customers with conservative bumper stickers or clothing for delayed service. The security footage continued playing, showing Alex's progression from passive-aggressive comments to outright confrontation. Richardson watched as they repeatedly approached other customers, questioning their political views based on their appearance or attire. One elderly woman clutched her purse closer as Alex loudly announced her privileged boomer status to the entire restaurant. "They've been posting during their shifts, too," Sarah added, pulling up screenshots from workplace cameras showing Alex taking selfies and typing lengthy social media rants between orders. "Our productivity metrics show a 40% slowdown during their social media breaks." Alex's voice carried through the office door, still ranting about taking a stand and exposing the right. Richardson methodically documented each new outburst, noting the timestamps and corresponding security footage. The evidence painted a clear picture of escalating behavioral issues that went far beyond a single incident. "These are the complaint forms from the past month," Sarah said, placing a folder on the desk. "Notice how they spike during Alex's shifts?" The pattern was unmistakable. Numerous customers had reported feeling targeted or discriminated against, with detailed accounts matching Alex's documented behavior. Richardson reviewed the workplace policy manual, highlighting sections about political neutrality, professional conduct, and customer service standards. Each violation was categorized and cross-referenced with video evidence, creating an airtight case of systematic policy breaches. Through the office window, he could see other employees struggling to maintain order in the dining area. Alex had started recording customers again, their phone held high as they proclaimed themselves a warrior for social justice. The restaurant's operations had ground to a near halt, with visible impact on both customer satisfaction and employee morale. Richardson stepped out to his car, maintaining his composed demeanor despite the chaos unfolding inside. He retrieved his leather portfolio from the trunk, running his fingers over the embossed company logo, the same one that adorned the restaurant's signage. Inside were ownership documents, financial reports, and the corporate standards manual he'd helped develop. Through the restaurant windows, he could see Alex had positioned themselves behind the counter, phone held high, recording what appeared to be a social media live stream. "And that's why we have to take a stand against these people," Alex's voice carried across the parking lot. "They think they can just walk in here with their MAGA hats and spread their hate." Sarah moved efficiently between tables, apologizing to frustrated customers while trying to maintain order. An elderly couple gathered their belongings, shaking their heads as they left. "We've been coming here for 15 years, the woman told Sarah loud enough for others to hear. "Never seen such disrespect." Richardson's phone buzzed. Another notification from the restaurant's social media monitoring system. Alex's edited video was gaining traction in local progressive groups, the carefully cropped footage showing only Richardson's MAGA hat and Alex's declaration of standing up to hate. Comments poured in supporting Alex's brave stance, though none had witnessed the full confrontation. Inside, the deteriorating situation was evident. The drive-through line had backed up onto the main road, with several cars pulling away in frustration. Two teenage employees huddled near the drink station, clearly uncomfortable with Alex's continuing tirade about right-wing customers. The lunch rush was grinding to a halt. "Got it all documented," a middle-aged woman told Richardson as he re-entered, holding up her phone. "That young person's behavior is completely unprofessional. You handled it with such grace." Several other customers nodded in agreement, some showing him their own recordings of Alex's outbursts. Richardson's district manager, Patricia Chen, texted her ETA 15 minutes. He could see Sarah through the office window, methodically printing out time-stamped reports, productivity metrics, customer complaints, security footage screenshots. The evidence of Alex's disruptive behavior mounted with each passing minute. Near the registers, Alex had cornered another employee, demanding support for their protest. The young workers' discomfort was visible as they tried to continue serving customers, while Alex ranted about complicity in supporting fascism. The professional atmosphere Richardson had carefully cultivated over years was crumbling under Alex's manufactured drama. The restaurant's automated systems continued logging the impact: dropped orders, extended wait times, declining sales metrics. Each data point added to the growing documentation of how one employee's political crusade was affecting the business Richardson had built from the ground up. He reviewed the final notes in his portfolio, knowing the next few minutes would reshape everyone's understanding of the situation. Sarah burst through the office door, her face flushed with anxiety. "Mr. Richardson, corporate HR is on line 1. They've already seen Alex's social media posts." The phone system's red lights blinked urgently as multiple lines rang simultaneously. Richardson could see the district supervisor's number flashing among them. On the main floor, Alex's live stream continued, their voice rising with manufactured outrage. "This is what we're up against, followers. They try to normalize their hate by ordering chicken sandwiches." Several customers pulled out their phones, recording Alex's increasingly erratic behavior. The restaurant's usually efficient workflow had ground to a standstill. The social media monitoring dashboard on Sarah's computer screen filled with notifications. Local community Facebook groups shared videos of the confrontation, with competing narratives emerging. Those who witnessed the full interaction defended Richardson's calm demeanor, while Alex's selective editing painted a different picture entirely. "Fourth complaint in the last hour," a young cashier reported, holding up the phone. "They're asking if we're still serving all customers or just ones with the right political views. The drive-through display showed order times climbing well beyond acceptable standards. Two longtime employees approached Sarah, carrying written statements. "We need to report something," one said quietly. "Alex has been refusing to work with Jerry in drive-through because he has a conservative bumper sticker. Been going on for weeks." More staff members gathered nearby, nodding in agreement. Security footage played silently on the office monitor, showing Alex's aggressive posturing and Richardson's measured responses from multiple angles. The audio transcript scrolled across the bottom, documenting every discriminatory comment. Sarah methodically highlighted relevant sections of the employee handbook, sections about customer service standards and political discrimination. Corporate's social media team is tracking a hashtag. Patricia Chen texted Richardson, "MAGA hat service is trending in 3 counties." Local news called for comment. The restaurant's review sites crashed from the surge of incoming traffic, both positive and negative. Alex remained behind the counter, completely oblivious to the growing storm. They continued their performative protest, unaware that each word deepened their predicament. "This is about taking a stand against the system," they declared to their dwindling online audience, even as their co-workers quietly documented years of similar incidents. Richardson reviewed the mounting evidence, customer statements, security footage, employee testimonials, and performance reports. The documentation painted a clear picture of how one employee's political crusade had created a hostile environment for both customers and co-workers. Through the office window, he watched more regular customers leave, their expressions a mix of disappointment and concern for a restaurant that had served them faithfully for years. "HR needs your approval to initiate emergency protocols," Sarah whispered, holding up an urgent email. "They're saying this could affect all regional locations if we don't contain it quickly." The situation had escalated far beyond a simple customer service incident, threatening to become a cautionary tale about professionalism and political tolerance in the workplace. Through the office window, Richardson watched as news vans began pulling into the parking lot, their satellite dishes stretching skyward. Channel 4's lead reporter, Sarah Chen, was already setting up her equipment, while social media notifications continued flooding the restaurant's accounts. The situation had officially exploded beyond their 4 walls. "Local stations are going live in 10 minutes, Sarah reported, her tablet displaying multiple news feeds. "They're calling it MAGA Hat Gate. It's the top story on 3 channels. The security footage played silently on screens behind her, showing Alex's confrontation from multiple angles in crystal-clear detail. Alex stood near the register, still filming on their phone, seemingly energized by the gathering media presence. "See how they're trying to intimidate us?" they declared to their live stream audience. "This is what happens when you stand up to right-wing oppression." Their voice cracked with a mixture of defiance and growing nervousness as more co-workers stepped away, creating a visible distance. Richardson straightened his tie and reviewed the thick folder of documentation Sarah had assembled. Employee complaints dating back months detailed Alex's pattern of politically motivated harassment. Customer feedback forms showed repeated instances of service refusal based on perceived political leanings. The evidence was overwhelming. "Corporate legal just approved the statement," Patricia messaged. "They're backing your handling of the situation 100%. The restaurant's lobby had become a makeshift press area, with customers continuing to film as reporters gathered statements. "Mr. Richardson," Sarah called quietly, "you should see this." She turned up the volume on the break room television, where Alex's earlier social media posts played in rotation. Their gleeful boasts about refusing service to MAGA fascists appeared in stark contrast to security footage showing Richardson's measured responses. Through the window, Richardson could see his regular customers, Democrats and Republicans alike, joining the growing crowd, many eager to share their long history with the restaurant's previously welcoming atmosphere. "Alex changed everything," one elderly woman told a reporter. "Started checking everyone's politics before serving them. It wasn't right. The district manager arrived, tablet in hand displaying corporate's crisis response protocol. "Ready when you are, James," she said firmly. "HR has approved immediate action." The security team positioned themselves discreetly near the exits as Alex continued their increasingly isolated protest. Richardson took a deep breath, straightened his name badge, and opened the office door. The time had come to address both his employees and the gathering media. As he stepped onto the main floor, Alex's phone swung around to capture his approach, still live-streaming to their declining audience. They had no idea they were about to broadcast their own professional downfall to the world. "Everyone, may I have your attention?" Richardson began, his voice carrying across the now silent restaurant. The media cameras swung toward him as Alex's triumphant expression began to fade, reality slowly dawning in their eyes. The media cameras whirred as Richardson cleared his throat. "Over the past several hours, our HR department has conducted a thorough review of multiple incidents involving discriminatory service at this location." He gestured toward Patricia, who distributed printed copies of Alex's documented infractions to the press. "We have confirmed through security footage, customer complaints, and employee testimonials that there has been an ongoing pattern of politically motivated discrimination." Richardson's voice remained steady as he clicked through slides on the mounted display screen showing time-stamped footage of Alex refusing service to various customers wearing conservative-themed clothing. Sarah Chen from Channel 4 raised her microphone. "Mr. Richardson, these appear to be multiple incidents. How long has this been going on?" "Our investigation has uncovered at least 12 documented cases over the past 3 months," Patricia responded, pulling up a spreadsheet. "We have written statements from 7 employees describing similar incidents, including 3 formal complaints to management." Alex's live stream continued, but their earlier bravado had deflated as former co-workers stepped forward. Jenny from the morning shift described how Alex had bragged about tampering with Republican-looking customers' orders. Marcus, a longtime cook, recounted Alex's hostile treatment of elderly customers wearing veteran caps. "This isn't about politics," Richardson continued. "It's about maintaining a welcoming environment for all customers, regardless of their beliefs." The district manager nodded approvingly as more evidence mounted. Local business leaders began arriving, including the Chamber of Commerce president. "We're here to support fair business practices," she announced to the cameras. "Political discrimination has no place in our community's establishments." Alex's phone trembled as they scrolled through their social media feeds. Their earlier posts celebrating discrimination against conservative customers were being shared widely, accompanied by growing criticism from both sides of the political spectrum. Even progressive accounts were distancing themselves from Alex's actions. "Furthermore," Richardson added, "we've received concerning reports from other employees about a hostile work environment." He gestured toward Sarah, who presented a thick folder of internal complaints. "Multiple staff members have reported feeling pressured to participate in discriminatory practices or face social ostracism." The security footage continued playing silently on the wall-mounted screens, showing a clear pattern of Alex's behavior. Customers in the parking lot began sharing their own experiences with reporters, describing incidents where they'd been mocked or refused service based on political assumptions. Corporate's legal team arrived, carrying additional documentation of policy violations. They huddled with Richardson briefly, reviewing the final steps of their response protocol. Alex's phone live stream comments section had turned against them, with former supporters expressing shock at the mounting evidence of systematic discrimination. "In light of this extensive documentation," Richardson announced, his voice carrying across the now-packed restaurant, "we are prepared to take immediate corrective action." The security team moved closer to the exits as Alex's defiant expression crumbled under the weight of impending consequences. The district manager arrived just as Patricia finished organizing the evidence folders. Richardson stood at the front of the now-closed restaurant, addressing the assembled corporate team and local media. The security footage played silently on the wall-mounted screens, showing a clear pattern of Alex's discriminatory behavior over the past months. After careful review of all evidence, Richardson announced, his voice steady, "We have confirmed multiple violations of our non-discrimination policies." He gestured to the thick binder of customer complaints, employee statements, and social media screenshots. This isn't about political belief. It's about maintaining a professional environment where every customer feels welcome. Alex sat slumped in a corner chair, their earlier defiance deflated, as the HR director outlined the terms of termination. The live stream that had started with such righteous anger now documented their professional downfall, with comments sections filled with criticism from both conservatives and liberals about workplace discrimination. Moving forward, Richardson continued, we are implementing comprehensive training across all our locations to prevent similar incidents. He nodded to Sarah, who stood proudly in her new district manager blazer. We're fortunate to have team members who understand that service means serving everyone. The local Chamber of Commerce president stepped forward to present Richardson with an award for business leadership. Mr. Richardson has shown us how to handle political differences with professionalism and grace, she announced. Other business owners in the crowd nodded approvingly. In the weeks that followed, Richardson's franchise became a case study in workplace harmony. The new training program, developed with Sarah's help, was adopted by corporate headquarters for nationwide implementation. Customer satisfaction scores soared as employees focused on service rather than politics. 6 months later, Richardson stood at a business leadership conference, sharing his experience with other owners. The key isn't suppressing political beliefs, he explained, but understanding that professional duties come first. When we focus on serving people rather than judging them, everyone wins. The restaurant's front window now displayed a simple sign, "We serve everyone." It became known as the place where quality service transcended political divisions, proving that principled leadership and clear professional standards could bridge even the deepest ideological divides. As Richardson walked through his flagship location 1 year later, he smiled at the diverse crowd of customers enjoying their meals together. The incident that could have torn his business apart had instead made it stronger, teaching valuable lessons about respect, professionalism, and the importance of treating everyone with dignity, regardless of what hat they wore.